Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, July 29th, 2020. Well, rain chances are going to remain for some of you through Thursday, especially areas in Wyoming, southern Montana, western Nebraska that really need the rain. Well, you've got 2 more days where your chances are good. After that, things begin to dry out. We have an upper level low plus ambient moisture, which is really good. That means good rain chances again for parts of Wyoming, Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska. We're going to keep our fingers crossed and hope some areas can get some needed rain. Now, the monsoon moisture flow gets cut off over the weekend. It's going to reduce thunderstorm coverage. It's not going to eliminate it. We're still going to have some thunderstorms over the weekend and early next week. I think more than what you may be seeing in forecasts. We'll show you why we think that. Drier conditions for sure west of the divide. Parts of the western slope of Colorado, Utah, western areas of Wyoming, eastern Idaho, Arizona, New Mexico. You've had a pretty good run here over the last couple of weeks of widespread shower and thunderstorm coverage, but it's going to be getting drier west of the divide in the week ahead. Now let's take a look at the upper level pattern where we are right now. Now I'm zoomed in a little bit more. You can see the outline of the United States. This little circle right here was an upper level low over north central Wyoming and southern Montana this morning. That's going to slowly drift this way. And anywhere right here, along and head of the path of this upper level low, the atmosphere is going to be really unstable. So it's going to be easy for showers and thunderstorms to develop in this area today and Thursday as well. Tomorrow, you can still see it's moved here. So it's not moving very quickly. So today, here it is. Tomorrow, here it is. So the slow movement is going to keep the next 2 days along and east of the divide right here in the active area of showers and thunderstorms. We may today, and to some extent Thursday, have a few strong to severe thunderstorms in this area right here as the upper level of low goes on by. Now notice the high here. Very strong high centered over northwest Arizona. Remember how we talk about we want the high here to get the monsoon in. But that's not going to happen. With the high here, notice the wind barb. See the winds aloft are coming from the Pacific Northwest. So that's going to make it cooler east of the divide, but it's also going to cut off the monsoon moisture flow. The monsoon moisture flow gets shunted this way. And then you're going to get some really hot weather developing in the Great Basin and going to get warm and dry west of the divide in this setup here. This is by Saturday morning. By Saturday morning, the high sits here. Winds aloft are from the north-northwest. Impressive trough in the nation's midsection. Nation's midsection here going to cool off. Showers and thunderstorms will develop there as well. As we go further out, this is a bigger view of the northern hemisphere. This is 10 days from now. This is by next Friday and Saturday. Notice the high starts to shift eastward again from here to here. So, for those of you that watch this podcast and listen to it, you know that if that high moves east, what's that do? That opens the door to the monsoon again. So, while the monsoon gets shut off this weekend and next week, it does maybe come back late next week and next weekend. Let's take a look at where we think the rain chances are going to be the highest. This is the precipitable water forecast. Look at the contrast. Showing up west of the divide into the Great Basin. Look at all the brown and red here. This is a much drier air mass that has moved into here. However, up north here, along and east of the divide and underneath that upper level low, you see all the white and green. White and green is going to be where you're going to get into the shower and thunderstorm activity. This is for tomorrow. Now tomorrow the moisture isn't as good, but anywhere you see white and green, you're going to have active showers and thunderstorms. But look at the western slope. Really dry out. The monsoon gets cut off. This is for Saturday. What I want to show you for the weekend is we still have moisture along the divide and east of the divide. So you're going to get afternoon and evening thunderstorms over the mountains along this boundary where there's moisture. West of there, where the air is drier, there's going to be very little or no thunderstorm activity. And this is for Sunday. So for Sunday and Saturday, for the weekend, if you're planning to head to the mountains of Colorado or Wyoming, you're going to still see some afternoon and evening thunderstorms. But you can see the monsoon flow here, really nothing like it was over the last couple of weeks. Now, 10 days out, we talked about that high migrating eastward and the monsoon comes back. Well, there it is. See the green coming back? By late next week and the following weekend, we'll start to see that influx of moisture again, and shower and thunderstorm activity will pick up in Colorado's western slope, back into the Wasatch of Utah, and back into the western high plains. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the dryness and show you some maps here that show you the accumulated measured rainfall that has taken place in the last 30 days, the last 90 days, and the last 6 months. This really illustrates where it's been feast or famine. This wedge of dryness, notice this brown area here that extends up into southern Montana, into central and north central Wyoming, along and west of the divide right here. This is really the area that is experiencing really, really dry conditions, really dry since May in this area here. Now notice you got a lot of green and blue once you get out east of this area. Now it's not great, but certainly it's been better out there in many areas. Southeastern Wyoming, the southern part of the Nebraska Panhandle, this is the last 90 days I'm looking at. And then as you get up into Montana, the Dakotas, areas off to the east, another area of concern is right here in the southern plains. This area continues to be dry. So going back 90 days, you can see a trend here that got started. So as we go forward, this is the last 30 days. Notice basically it shows up as the same area here mostly. It's the same little dagger here, almost looks like a finger pointing into the area here of dryness over the last 30 days. There's a strong reflection here, 90 days to the last 30 days. And then if you go to the last 180 days, roughly the last 6 months, you can see the same areas experiencing the driest conditions. Now, a big reason for this is that vicious cycles happen with droughts. When you get the ground dry, especially if the ground gets dry in the spring, if you don't have a wet spring, you have less soil moisture. The less soil moisture in the ground evaporating back into the air means less water for showers and thunderstorms to work with. So as the ground gets drier, it gets harder to rain. In areas that are getting rain, well, you're making it easier to rain. And so if you look at the last 180 days, this is the areas that have had the best rain with this wedge of dryness. Now, if you go back to the last 30 days, notice the correlation. The areas that have been with a wet ground in the last 30 days, in the last 90 days, in the last 180 days have gotten the rains recently, while the drier ground here has not. That is why March, April, and May, and early June in this part of the country are absolutely critical for the rest of the year. If you have a dry spring, you're going to probably have a dry summer, especially in the areas really sensitive to these very small little changes, and that's this area right here, and also parts of the southern plains. Thanks for listening and watching the Day Weather Podcast. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Have a good Wednesday.